Hey everybody, and welcome back to HRS 5450, Assistive Technology for Sports and Recreation. I'm Carmen DeGiovane, and we're finally into Module 3, Adaptive Sports Technologies. So now we're starting to focus on the technology. But before we do that, I just want to jump back to Module 1 for a second. I finished grading the assignments for Module 1 and just want to highlight some of the key points that I observed when grading. First off, talking about careers in assistive technology, specifically the interview with Teresa Werner, I hope you found it helpful. And I just want to give a shout out to the one student who decided to take me up on turning in the assignment as a video. That was pretty cool to see a video description of the assignment, so I appreciate that. I learned about a number of organizations. You all did a great job of pulling in other organizations where you could potentially work. And so I included some of those organizations in the notes that I'll post below the video. In terms of the first reading insights discussion, you guys did a great job. That was so much fun to go through. It was kind of interesting to see which articles you picked. Five of you picked the article from Rimmer et al. 5 of you picked from Santana, and 11 of you picked from the article about 3D printing by Simpson and Taliaferro. So that was really cool to see some of the ideas you had. I hope you enjoyed the discussion posts and going back and seeing what other people wrote about the articles. I'd also like to take this chance to thank Anna Mattis, Alexis Piles, and Connor Wunsch for moderating the discussions. They asked some very insightful questions, and it was really cool to see how they facilitated the discussions. But the one thing was, I'd like for you to go back, and especially the undergrad students, go back and take a look at the moderator posts, because I think that'll help you better synthesize the information and better understand it for future modules. Also, the moderators introduced a couple great resources, one on accessible playgrounds, one on the Xbox Adapt controller, and the other one on all 3DP. So you'll have to check those out. Now moving to Module 2 and just reviewing Module 2, Adapted Sports and Recreation. We are continuing exploring adaptive sports and recreation at a high level. We had the article by Wilson and Clayton. I hope you found it helpful. And we also introduced you to Kevin Starr. So I hope you found that interview interesting. Moving on to Module 3, Adaptive Sports Technology. So we're finally getting into that technology, as I mentioned earlier. In this case, we're going to be focusing on prosthetics and wheelchairs, which includes, and in this case, including hand cycles. For those of you that are in HRS 5200, Seating and Wheel Mobility, you'll see a lot of overlaps between that course and this course for this module. There's 2 articles that I want you to read. One's by DeLuigi and Cooper, and then the other one is by Cooper and DeLuigi. When you're going through those articles, I've given you some hints in the reading overview of how to read through the articles. They tend to be dense, so creating an outline will be helpful, and it'll also help when you finish the reading insights discussion post. So we're going to do that again. In terms of the reading insights discussion posts, I made a couple changes from the first time, so make sure to read through it carefully. And then we'll be starting our semester-long case study. For this case study or case report, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about an individual, and I want you to take that information and expand on it. So it's some of the stuff that we did in HRS 5100, but just going in greater detail. Just 2 things. Remember to identify at least 2 assistive technologies that the individual is using, and then identify 2 assistive technologies that they may not be using but could potentially use. So I'm trying to get you to broaden your perspective. Focus on assistive technology for sports and recreation. And then just want to make you aware of some cool stuff in assistive technology. The International Seating Symposium is taking place January 30th through February 1st. It's a virtual conference, so keep an eye out for posts on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn. I think they also have a LinkedIn channel. Just want to make you aware of a cool book I'm reading right now. It's called Sitting Pretty by Rebekah Taussig. It's been an interesting book to read. It might be something that's worth reading yourself. I also listened to a podcast. You know me, I'm a huge fan of podcasts. Listened to a podcast recently called Academia, Diversity, and the Future of CRT. In the podcast, Laurie Watanabe interviewed Pooja Viswanathan, who is the CEO and co-founder of Braze Mobility. The podcast can be found on the Mobility Management podcast stream, and it's the April 26, 2021 podcast. So if you have a chance and are interested, check that out. As always, reach out to me. Fantastic weekend for the Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers, winning on Saturday. Of course, it's Sunday, so it looks like the Rams are going to beat the Buccaneers, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But then tonight we've got the Buffalo Bills playing Kansas City Chiefs, and actually I'm rooting for both those teams. I like them both. But I'm super glad that super excited that the Cincinnati Bengals won, and hopefully they'll win again next weekend. And can't believe I'm saying this, end up in the Super Bowl. That's crazy. All right, have a great week, and please reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks.